man from immigration came to my house today. Said you ain't from his nation, you simply cannot stay. There's been a declaration, boy, your papers ain't no good. Your quick evacuation surely suit this neighborhood. No, you ain't no permanent resident. Now your name is mud. You ain't nothing but transient. I can see it in your...
Without further ado, Rick Thompson with the news.
Hello, everybody. It's Rick Thompson. This is the news. It's October 2nd, 2014. Well, it looks like a marijuana legalization proposal will not be on the ballot in East Lansing this November. Ingham County Clerk Barb Byram announced the decision on Wednesday, saying the late addition on the ballot would cost $16,000 and that absentee ballots have already been mailed, according to the Lansing State Journal. Now, East Lansing attorney and friend of the program, Jeffrey Hank, is leading that initiative to legalize marijuana there and to repeal the city's marijuana laws and allow use, possession, and transfer of up to 1 ounce by any adult 21 years or over. Hank, who's protesting Byram's decision, told WWJ he submitted more than the necessary number of signatures on July 29th. City officials said they would place the issue on the November 2015 ballot. Hank sued, saying that vote should take place sooner. The mayor and city council members are expected to hold an executive session next week to discuss the issue. Jeff Hank told me in an exclusive interview earlier today that the city is proposing adding an explanatory amendment to the ballot language. No city clerk has ever done this as far as we know, Hank said. It's unclear how that would advance the process or if this is just another stalling procedure. The action, if it's allowed to stand, would set a dangerous precedent, and the community can't afford to let this decision stand, Hank said. Now, a booming American cannabis industry has fostered a growing group of entrepreneurs looking to make millions from marijuana products. But even in states where recreational use is legal, enterprising business owners are seeing their profits go up in smoke due to another legal snag, the lack of protection for intellectual property. For example, the legendary pot lifestyle magazine High Times filed a lawsuit last year against a Washington festival for using the term cannabis cup, a term coined by that publication for a local competition. Since cannabis is still listed as a Schedule I substance on the U.S. list of controlled substances, the Federal Patent and Trademark Office can't issue trademarks for substances and marijuana-based products, and that's becoming a bigger problem for marijuana businesses. Nationally, the marijuana industry, it's worth $1.53 billion. According to Francisco-based ArcView Market Research. Their analysts expect this to reach $10.2 billion in the next 5 years. And, of course, as we know, medical marijuana is legal in 23 states and the District of Columbia. Recreational marijuana is legal in Colorado and Washington, with Alaska, Oregon, and the District of Columbia set to vote on that issue this November. The Michigan legislature has given final approval to bills designed to give police more tools to arrest drivers under the influence of drugs. The legislation sent to Governor Rick Snyder on Thursday would allow a preliminary roadside analysis not just for suspected alcohol use, but also for controlled and other intoxicating substances. Legislators voted to put a conditional bond on suspected drug drivers and require that information be entered into the law enforcement database. Republican Representative Dan Lowers of Brockway Township said drugged and drunken drivers should be treated the same under the law because they have the same capacity to harm innocent lives, quote. Lawmakers earlier this year removed a provision proposing a roadside saliva test for controlled substances. That was a testimony some of us were involved in. Critics say that could lead to arrests of medical marijuana patients. A moratorium on the growing of medical marijuana in Muskegon will remain in place at least for 1 more month, when the City Commission will take a second vote on an amended ordinance allowing for cultivation in expanded areas of the city. The Commission last week removed criminal penalties for violating the city's medical marijuana ordinance, but kept in place the right for police officers to inspect grow operations. Having both a misdemeanor penalty and allowing for police inspections would have raised constitutional issues, according to a city attorney. The amended ordinance would allow caregivers of medical marijuana patients to grow the marijuana in many more areas of the city than the ordinance currently allows. Such grow operations would be allowed in most areas of the city other than those zoned residential. Commissioner Ken Johnson, who was the only commissioner to vote against the amended ordinance on September 23rd, objected to the right of law enforcement officials to conduct unannounced inspections of patients' grow operations. He also spoke against charging annual licensing fees for patients who grow their own medical marijuana. The proposed ordinance would require caregivers who can grow up to 72 marijuana plants and patients who grow their own marijuana to be licensed by the city. The city is proposing that caregivers would pay a $1,500 licensing fee and $1,100 annually to renew, and patients would pay just $100. Under the city's proposal, locations where caregivers can cultivate medical marijuana would grow considerably. It allows medical marijuana operations in different business districts, governmental services districts, industrial, and medical care districts. The current ordinance restricts them exclusively to heavy industrial areas. Here's a favorite topic, Jamaica. Jamaica's drafted legislation to decriminalize marijuana, the island's justice minister said on Tuesday. He told reporters that they should make possession of 2 ounces or less a petty offense before the end of 2014. He also expects decriminalization for religious purposes to be authorized, allowing Rastafarians to ritually smoke marijuana, which they consider a holy herb, without fear of arrest. Marijuana is very pervasive and has been prohibited on the Caribbean island for over a century. And Golding said it would take longer to agree on more complex changes to the Jamaica's Dangerous Drugs Act, which is needed to spur a medical marijuana and cannabis research sector. He said Jamaica, where scientists developed a cannabis-derived medication to treat glaucoma decades ago, was well positioned to be a forerunner in efforts to research therapeutic uses of marijuana. A recent preliminary report by the Caribbean Community of 15 nations and territories said medical marijuana could help boost the region's economy. Folks, that's it for the news tonight. It is October 2nd, 2014. I'm Rick Thompson. Thanks for listening.
Yay.
Hey, I've never had applause after the news before.
Good stuff, Rick.
I said with fascination, sir, please help me to understand who got such duration that's still living on this land. The only population pretty much nothing now. That silent congregation pushing daisy 6 feet down. Don't want to be a permanent resident. I